What is immigrating to Paraguay like? I wanted to share several success stories of Nomad Elite clients who successfully immigrated to Paraguay in 2024 and how you can benefit from Paraguay's most unique value proposition. It's residency, taxes, cost of living, and dating opportunities. I wanted to start this video out talking about a very specific client of ours who decided to leave Asia, more specifically Taiwan, for Paraguay. The reasons behind his departure include geopolitical concerns surrounding the current situation in Taiwan and its neighbor. Other points include never being able to obtain real residency in Taiwan. While it may be possible to obtain permanent residency in Taiwan, it certainly is more challenging than in Paraguay. Our client, who recently departed Taiwan and he moved back to South Africa before he came to Paraguay to apply for Paraguayan residency. This client of ours told us about his prolonged history living in Asia and how much he enjoyed living in Asia. But like I've stated, the recent concerns out of East Asia have definitely left an unpleasant taste in many expats' mouth. Now, this is an interesting story because oftentimes we hear, hey, people don't really leave Asia or Southeast Asia for a place like Paraguay. They don't move from Asia to Latin America. No millionaires are moving to Latin America. Well, I moved to Latin America, and many people who I know also moved to Latin America. So the argument that people don't leave Southeast Asia or East Asia for a place like Paraguay is incorrect. I can tell you about many people who did leave the region to start a new life in South America where they can own property, where they get full reciprocity and stolen property rights, and where residency is a lot more secure than it is in Southeast Asia. Nomad Elite has several clients from Australia and New Zealand. People who tried whatever they could to escape the last crisis, but they were unsuccessful doing so. But as soon as the window opened up, as soon as they had a chance to depart, they left. And some of them were stranded overseas in places like Southeast Asia, Latin America, and Europe. Some of these people have become our clients. And very recently I've heard a success story from another Nomad Elite client who was stuck in Mexico because he could not return to Australia during the past crisis. Like many other people, he decided to come to Paraguay, apply for residency, and he's been living in Paraguay for the past 5 to 6 months. And he has informed me in person when we met right here in Asunción, Paraguay, how satisfied he is with the quality of life, the peace of mind, and the low cost of living Paraguay offers. And he is not the only Australian who departed a place like Mexico for Paraguay, or who departed, say, Southeast Asia for Paraguay. More and more people are waking up to the reality that there are places with better residency requirements than Southeast Asia. Well, I personally spent a lot of time in Southeast Asia and enjoyed it very much. Certain places are no longer the same. Visa requirements, residencies are changing on the fly. Visa policies are not as stable as they once were. This is a matter of fact. Australians have good reasons to leave their native country for a place like Paraguay, including the ever-increasing cost of living crisis. And we have heard from one of our Australian clients how it is very, 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 very difficult to impossible to purchase a home in Australia. It would take the average person many, many decades to have enough money for the down payment. It's become nearly impossible to own a home in Australia. Of course, Australia is not the only developed nation where owning a home has become nearly impossible. Another interesting fact that we witnessed during the past crisis is how certain countries behaved under pressure, under fire, whatever you want to call it. Countries like Australia completely sealed the borders. And Australia is just one of the countries that decided to seal its border during the past crisis, not allowing many Australians to return to their homeland. Likewise, many Australians were forbidden to leave the country during the past crisis. How countries behaved during the past crisis is a clear sign of how they may behave during the next one. I think this goes without saying. It's also true that nothing should ever be taken for granted. Nothing. While something works today, it may not work a year later, 2 years later. Nothing should be taken for granted. Everything that you have in your life is temporary. It's very important that you spend your time in places that are in alignment with your values and the things that we often take for granted. However, a crisis is the ultimate test, and oftentimes we don't know where we stand until a crisis breaks out. Canadians are fleeing Canada to escape the ever-increasing cost of living, newly introduced exit taxes that make it even harder for Canadians to leave. These exit taxes and additional protocols are put in place for a reason. They want to make your life harder, not easier. While it is true that a country like Canada still entails enough value for immigrants looking to settle down in the country, many native Canadians feel they're being pushed out of the system, and they have good reasons to think so. I had the privilege of personally meeting several Canadians right here in Asunción, Paraguay, and all of them echoed the same thing. Ever-increasing cost of living crisis, increasing taxes, less freedom, more wokeism, and many other things they're unsatisfied with. The question is, what do you do in a situation like the one they're in? You either stay, fight, and obviously accept the regulations that are being put in place. It's perfectly fine. You accept the ever-increasing taxes. You accept more government control and be happy with what you've got. Or B, you take your life in your own hands. And of course, if you have the financial resources to do so, because moving abroad is not for free. Costs money, takes time, and what it also takes is expertise. And that's why we highly recommend you to work with a qualified relocation agency like Nomad Elite. Nomad Elite has helped people from over 6 continents move to Paraguay successfully. We have clients from the United States, Canada, Brazil, other Latin American countries, European Union countries, the UK, Ireland. We have clients from Africa, Australia, New Zealand, and even Asia. We have helped people from all walks of life relocate to the beautiful South American country of Paraguay. Paraguay Residency comes with the full spectrum of perks that you could have hoped for, including full land ownership, full foreign property ownership, temporary residency with a path to permanent residency, and a path to citizenship. You can also own firearms in Paraguay. Paraguay offers one of the most liberal gun laws in whole Latin America, making it an ideal destination for Americans and Canadians seeking to protect their Second Amendment rights. While the importation of firearms remains very difficult and oftentimes impossible, firearms can be purchased locally in Paraguay. It is true that the cost of purchasing a firearm is substantially greater than in the United States. There are several shops where you can purchase firearms legally in Paraguay. And of course, Nomad Elite helps you with your purchase. We also help our clients obtain the right license. Nomad Elite operates within the boundaries of Paraguayan and international law, ensuring everything is done completely legally, including the purchase of firearms in Paraguay. Another quick note about taxes. Many Westerners are looking to relocate to Paraguay to pay less in taxes. Many of them manage to reduce their taxes to single digits, despite of generating the same money as they did back home. Paraguay is not a tax haven, but it is a very tax-friendly country. Some argue it is a tax haven because foreign sourced income is excluded from taxation in Paraguay, assuming you are a legal tax resident of the country, which entails obtaining a legal Paraguayan residency, cedula, and tax number. If you have completed these 3 steps, and like I said, you've completed these steps legally, you may qualify for Paraguayan tax residency. I am a legal immigrant to Paraguay. I'm also a legal immigrant to the United States of America. Just like my ancestors immigrated from Europe to the United States, I also immigrated from Europe to the United States. And as a legal immigrant to Paraguay, I know what it takes to follow the legal code. Not only because I personally implemented these steps myself, but also because we work with a ton of clients on a weekly basis who aim to achieve the same. If you're interested in obtaining a legal residency in Paraguay, please contact us. You can book a consultation through the website that you see displayed on the screen right now. I've also added a link in the description of the video. Thank you so much for watching Nomad Elite. We appreciate you and we see you on the next video.